Peter Parfit, and welcome to part 2 of my video review of the new Festool Domino XL 700. In part 1 I introduced you to working parts of the machine, and in this part we're going to actually use the machine to make some joints. So here we go. Right, before we can use the domino we need to make sure it's set up properly. I've already installed a 12mm cutter in the machine, and you saw me do that in part 1. The next thing to do is to connect the plug-it cord, push fit, and then a twist, and it's secure. And then also the dust extractor. Now these two go to my CT26, which is down here on my right, and the beauty of this arrangement is that when I turn on the domino, the dust extractor starts automatically. When I turn the domino off, the dust extractor runs for a few more seconds before turning itself off. So that's good. Now what are we trying to achieve with this? We're trying to achieve a joint that might look something like this. A mortise here, a mortise there, and in those goes a domino. I won't push it tight because it really is difficult to get apart once it's done. So that's the idea. One would glue that up and it would make a beautiful joint, really nice. So I'm actually going to do it afresh using these two pieces of wood. And there I have a pencil line across the two, and I'm going to start by using this little piece of wood here. Now in this piece I only want 30mm of my 100mm domino in this side, and I want the other 70mm in this piece. So I need to set the depth, and I do that here. With this depth setting I'm setting it to 30. The next thing to consider is the height below that surface that the domino is going to be set in. And so I'm going to release that height knob there, and then I'm going to look at the height gauge here, and that's 40mm, so I wanted about 20, and so I'm going to the step 20 position, push it down gently, and then tighten up with the knob on the right. My angle, well, that's just going to be 90 degrees, and now we're almost ready to go. I need to just check that the pins here are all pressed in and out of the way, because we're not using those during this little setup. So I'm good to go. I've got my depth set, I've got my height set, I've got the power cord, the dust extractor, that's in, I've got all 10 fingers, and we're going to see how we get on. I'm wearing safety glasses, I always do when I'm doing any woodwork. I've got some bits of board attached to the work surface here to help me keep the piece of wood in place. I'm using both hands on the domino, and away we go. There we go, there's my first slot, and it's made a nice clean joint. A tiny bit of sawdust gets caught in the end, that really can't be helped. Now I get my second piece of wood. Now this time, if you remember, we have to change the depth setting to 70, which is as deep as this machine will cut. That's a really, really great depth of cut. You can do some pretty strong joints doing depths as great as that. So here we go. Everything's secure. I've still got my 10 fingers, and off we go. And there we are, there's that really deep cut, and a little bit of dust in the hole. Now, when one is doing a plunge cut like that, you don't want to do it quickly. You need to just let it go in gently, and for the maximum depth cut like that, you probably need to spend about 2 seconds, going in nice and slowly and then out slowly as well. Let's see how good our joint is. Well, I must say that's not bad, considering that it's only the third or fourth time I've used the machine. When I bought my original Domino 500, very soon after taking it out of the box, I produced a reference block of all the different styles of cuts I can do with it. Different size cutter, different width settings, different heights and different depths. And this now gives me a planning tool when I'm planning any joints I'm making. I've done the same for the 700 Domino here, and this is the start of the block. I've used this edge and this edge as a reference, and then using the pins, the inner pin, the middle pin and the outer pin to produce those three holes, and the mirror image here with the pins on the other side. And then I did a series of cuts at different depths here, and then again the inner pin, the middle pin and the outer pin, so that I could then eyeball this and see what type of joint arrangement I might do for a particular piece of wood. I've also used this to test the accuracy of the setup of the machine straight out of the box. I've measured these distances and compared the left and the right, and they're absolutely spot on. Straight out of the box, no need for any adjustment. I'm in the process of making a new bench, and we're looking at the bench top as seen from the underside. I need to make the legs, and I'm going to use the new Domino 700 to make those legs. The bench consists of a tail vise and a normal vise. There'll be 4 sets of legs. The first 3 will be identical, and they will be on that section there, and the right hand leg will be different because it has to be slightly shorter at one end to take account of the tail vise, and it's that leg that we're going to make shortly. Right, this is the odd set of legs, the right hand end which goes underneath the tail vise. So this is where the tail vise will be, and this is the back of the table there. So this is the front, tail vise is running here, and these are my cross pieces. The top 2 are dead easy because they're just straight in the centre of the 2x2. Bottom one, not quite so straightforward. With all of them, they're going to have a 55mm offset up here, and then I need to decide what joints I'll do here. So I take my reference piece and I have a look at the settings with the pins, because I fancy using those because it makes it a little bit quicker. And so I'm going to use the middle pins because that's about the right distance. So I've scribed just a single line on there and on there, and I can use the centre pins to do a double. 1, 2, in these. Now let's face it, this is really overkill, but I'm practicing and I'm enjoying myself. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Right, there we go. So I'm going to get that underway right now. Okay, so it's all marked out, and I'm now going to start doing some cutting. I first of all need to just check that I've got everything right. First of all, my height setting, this is just over 40mm, so I'm going to have it set, depth is 20, locked off, that back down to 90 degrees. Now I'm going to first of all cut out this one here, which is for one of the 2x2s. So let's get that underway. I've speeded up this bit of the video just so it's not quite so boring. I'm cutting the 2 slots for the narrow rail, so it's just got 1 slot in at each end, and then we'll go back to my commentary, which was filmed live. Okay, right, now we get to the exciting bit, which is where we're going to be using our locating pins. I first cut the initial slot. Pop out middle pin, get it registered in the slot, whoops, wherever it is. There it is. So that's the first pair. And again, I've speeded this bit up so it's not so boring, and I've cut both lots of double pairs now. Right, we're in speed up mode once again. This will be the last pictures of me doing joints, because otherwise it just gets too boring. But when I've finished these, we'll do a glue up, and then magically I'll have done all the other sets of legs for the bench, and so you'll be able to see the finished effect. And I must tell you now, it was all terribly easy, and it didn't take me very long. And there we go. We now have all the mortises cut. Now that was easy.